Welcome to Galveston Unscripted. Standing in the heart of Galveston's business district, we have the Sealy Hutchings Building, completed in 1895. We are on one of Galveston's main thoroughfares, one of the most notable in Galveston, the Strand, one of the streets in the heart of the downtown business district that not only built Galveston, but built the state of Texas. Beginning in the mid-1800s, the bulk of cargo that passed into or out of the state of Texas came through Galveston, and this street was the center of commerce. Now, as you travel around Galveston, especially the downtown historic district, you are bound to run into a few of these trolleys. Trolleys have been a staple on the island since the 1870s, powered by horses, electricity, or even combustion engines. Behind me, we have the Sealy Hutchings Building, one of the premier buildings on the Strand, designed by Galveston famous architect Nicholas Clayton. I mean, take a look at this gorgeous granite and sandstone. Now, while we're standing here on the Strand, it's important to remember that the Port of Galveston, the port that built Texas, was just a few hundred feet away from this street. As we look towards the direction of the port today, it looks a little bit farther than it would have back in the 1800s as the city has been expanded up and outward. A few important things to note about the Strand. It is known as the Wall Street of the Southwest, where cargo was flowing in and out of the state of Texas, and commodities such as cotton could be traded. As we take a look around on Strand today, it looks a little bit different than it would have when the city was founded. This area would have just been 1 or 2 story wooden buildings. And of course, as the money and cargo flowed in, these big, gorgeous buildings were built. Most of the first floors in these buildings were used as warehouses, as storage, and the second, third, and fourth floors would have been used as office space. So this Sealy Hutchings building would have been used for storage, for banking, for trading, for just about anything you needed for goods and services coming in and out of the Port of Galveston, flowing into Texas and the American West. If you ever have a chance to go inside of any of these buildings, including the Hutchings Sealy building, you will still find existing bank vaults. So as we look right down this way towards the Port of Galveston, it's important to remember that this was a major immigration port. Tens of thousands of people immigrated from all over the world right into the Port of Galveston, came right here, walked along this street, right down to the train station, got on the train, and headed out into Texas and the American West. Galveston has not only been a major immigration hub. From the 1840s to the 1860s, Galveston was the second largest slave trading port in the Gulf of Mexico. Most of the buildings you see today were built before the storm of 1900, meaning most of them survived. But if you look around, you'll see some buildings that used to be 2, 3, 4, 5 stories taller than they are today, because the walls or roofs collapsed and there was no need to build back as most of the businesses moved out of Galveston. And don't forget to take a peek at the brick-lined streets right down here. That is what the streets would have looked like back in the 1800s, before they started paving over with concrete. As you move up and down the Strand, you will see buildings built in the 1850s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, and even early 1900s. For all historical photos and maps, thank you to the Galveston and Texas History Center at the Rosenberg Library and the Portal to Texas History at the University of North Texas.